Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of Chin-Quee Chats, the bite-sized podcast where we talk movies, sports, and everything in between. I am your host, Matthew Chin-Quee, and surprise, surprise, I'm by myself again. This time I have actually a decent excuse because I'm sure I can't 100% remember in the past if I've said that I don't do any schoolwork, but usually I don't. But this week, I actually have been pretty busy with school, so I really haven't that much time to start to book guests. And then there's been a whole whack of other movie-related stuff that I will get to talking about in the cinema chat. But there's that going on, so that was kind of distracting a bit and didn't really seem like the best time to go out and looking for guests given the whole movie climate right now. So it's just me. I know I say this every week, but next week it should be a pretty cool episode if the schedules line up, because it's going to be my 20th episode. And just a hint, it's Geek Pulse Radio's 20th episode this week, so that might be a little bit of a hint as to who's coming on next week. Then again, nothing's finalized, and schedules change and shit happens, as you will find out in this episode, some of the shit that has gone down. But for just this week, it's just me and again, and I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars Last Jedi trailer, because who isn't, who doesn't want to talk about Star Wars right now? I mean, maybe people who aren't fans of Star Wars, but you know what? Suck it up, because I'm breaking this shit down shot by shot. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta that released last week, and when I was recording last week, the beta was still out. It's now complete now, so I've put as many hours as I have possibly been able to into it. So I'm going to give my quick review of that, what I would like to see, and things that I liked and say things that I didn't like, as a kind of casual, not really big into gaming gamer. So there's that, and I'll be right back for the cinema chat. And I'm back for my review. Hold on. Oh, that part is so sick. I'm back for my review of the Last Jedi trailer. Hopefully the last Jedi trailer, because I don't really want to see any more footage of this. And before you say, oh, well, just don't watch it, you should know I have the willpower of someone who doesn't have a lot of willpower. I don't know any analogies that has someone who doesn't have a lot of willpower. Anyways, I wouldn't be able to. I'm weak. I wouldn't be able to hold back and not watch it. I told myself I wasn't gonna watch this one, and then the minute it comes out, I have like 5 people messaging me. They're like, "You have to watch it. You're gonna love it. There's a huge twist at the end," and it took me about 20 minutes not to watch it. So I held out for longer than I thought I would. I mean, hell, I couldn't hold out for the Justice League trailer that dropped the day before. And Justice League is on a whole other different level, and a lower level. Not that that's not a shot at DC. Hold on, that's not a shot at DC. But Star Wars is just on a whole other level compared to what comic book movies are for me. So yeah, there's no way I was gonna hold back. So I hope that's the last Jedi trailer. Maybe we'll get a few TV spots here and there, but it was great. I love this trailer. This was definitely a case of misdirect the trailer, editing extraordinaire, and I don't know how much control Rian Johnson, the director, has over this trailer. I'm assuming because it's Disney, they have a lot more control, or it's Lucasfilm, they have a lot more control. The directors have a lot more control over what goes into their trailers, as opposed to someone like Matthew Vaughn for Kingsman: The Golden Circle, where he has now since outright said that I didn't like the trailers because they spoiled Harry being alive from like the very first thing, the very first marketing thing they put out for Kingsman spoiled the movie. So I'm assuming The way that Lucasfilm works with, how secretive they have been with their films, I'm assuming that director Rian Johnson has a lot more say over this, especially because he was tweeting out stuff like, "Oh, don't watch this," and then, like me, 20 minutes later, he's like, "Okay, guys, watch it," because it's awesome. But I did promise a shot by shot trailer breakdown, so I'm gonna attempt it right here. I have a bunch of screenshots from it. So we open with, I'm assuming that's Kylo Ren. If it's not, whatever. But it looks like Kylo Ren. He's looking over a bay of ships, and it looks like they're about to go land to attack to the Resistance. In the next scene that we see with the not AT-ATs, and these things look really weird. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure how much I like them. They look a little bit more mobile than the original AT-ATs were, and that, honestly, that natural progression, it makes sense because we're 30 years past when AT-ATs were used, and the First Order did grow from the Empire, so it makes sense that they would try to evolve their technology and try to make it a little bit cleaner. But these things look like gorillas, man. Like, I hope one of them's called like the Harambe. But with like their knuckles or whatever, it looks like they're walking on their knuckles. So that's a whole lot of firepower in that scene. So don't really know what they're attacking there. I haven't really tried to look into a lot of the planets and the staging of when this movie or where this movie takes place, just because I've been trying to not spoil myself. So if you guys do know what this planet is, or do know the context of this battle, don't tell me, because I'd like to just speculate just purely off the trailers. But given like the red dust that is, it does look like it's going to be that battle scene that we saw in the first trailer with the resistance ships, going down and kicking up that red dust. Something like Hoth, but I hope it's not really that close, because I'm already sick of people comparing Force Awakens and A New Hope. I don't want Last Jedi to be like that as well. Moving on, we have Kylo Ren with his contingent of new stormtroopers. Is it just me, or do they look kind of like snowtroopers? I'd have to watch it again, but they kind of look like they're covered in in their snowtrooper outfits. And then we have Kylo Ren on the cool red background where he's picking up his new lightsaber. Looks like a newer version, because the one in Force Awakens looked a little bit scrap metally, and this one looks a little cleaner. Maybe it won't be all fizzy like it was in Force Awakens, but I actually did like how it was kind of untamed power, kind of like how Kylo Ren was. And then we get our first shot of Rey with her lightsaber. She's training with Luke, and we see her giving the lightsaber to Luke, and we get a really good close up of that hand. And I want to just say right now, I saw a lot of people kind of studying that hand, and this is how crazy some Star Wars fans are. But it's also really cool how Lucasfilm kind of has this attention to detail. If you look at the shot of that hand, you can see that there's the blaster mark from Return of the Jedi, when Luke got his hand shot by a blaster on Jabba's sail barge. So it's really cool that one, Luke still has that hand, and two, that Star Wars fans even caught that. I didn't catch that myself. I was just reading on some forums. Usually I try not to do that as well, but I'm weak. But yeah, you can see that there's that blaster mark there, so that's a really cool bit of continuity there. But it probably is from the opening scene there, because I believe Rian Johnson said that they're going to start right where they left off. So it's going to be Luke seeing Rey possibly for the first time, maybe not, I don't know, and her giving the lightsaber to him. And then he has this whole movie is just going to be Luke looks confused, or Luke looks bewildered, the movie, because Mark Hamill has just the funniest face in this screenshot that I'm looking at. And then we have a lot of Rey exploring. And now this is something that we see a lot in the trailer, whether it be underwater in some upcoming shots, or this foggy shot right here that I'm looking at that's in the beginning of the trailer. It kind of reminds me of Dagobah as well, but I think we're going to be, based off of this one and the past trailer, we're going to be exploring a little bit more about the Force and, the mystical part because of all this fog. uh, um, Probably indicating some sort of mysticism in there, and then talking about her power, and she is in that kind of wooden temple that we saw in the first trailer. And I know a lot of us assume that it was Luke in that first trailer, but with the hand dusting off the book, but maybe it could be Rey, and maybe it's probably both, but it could be Rey in there. And then we get a little bit more of that extended look at what we saw in the first trailer with her training and that beautiful, gorgeous shot. Only Rian Johnson would shoot stuff like that. It's so cool for a Star Wars movie. It's quite unique for a Star Wars movie. And we see her training, and then we get that music where the lightsaber actually lines up with the violin pulsing. And you get that really cool scene where she slashes down, and then the ground breaks, and Luke's bewildered face number 2. He's like, what the fuck? I don't know what's going on here. Then we see more of Rey's untapped amazing strength, and then Luke finally addresses what we've all been thinking. He's like, how is this girl so powerful, and why isn't everybody scared? And Luke's like, yeah, I'm scared. And we get a little bit of a flashback to I'm assuming this could be later in the movie, but I'm assuming this is this is when Kylo Ren betrayed him, but this could be also clever editing with Luke's hand popping up from underneath the rubble. This could be later, don't know, but assuming that this is a flashback shot. And then you get Rey looking all sad because presumably Luke has said, I'm not teaching you anymore because you're too spooky. Now, this is probably another instance of clever editing, because if you go back, and this is me putting my Star Wars tinfoil hat on, if you go back and look at Luke, in his eyes you see a blue reflection, and I really don't want to get my hopes up for a Force Ghost, because I'm not 100% sure if they're really going to bring back any sort of Force Ghost, because we all got our hopes up for Force Awakens, and I love that movie, but when you get your hopes up and start to really go full conspiracy theory, you just end up leaving disappointed regardless. So I don't want to get my hopes up. But what if he's talking to a Yoda or an Obi-Wan, and he's saying, I saw this power before and I wasn't scared of it enough then, I am now. And they're like, no, don't be scared of her, or else you're going to lose her like you did Ben Solo. That would be so cool. And then we get some shots of Kylo, and I had seen some people say that this is actually his suit from The Force Awakens. So this actually could be a shot that's right... that's right after the battle that he has with Rey, and he gets mad and stuff, so he just goes and smashes his helmet, which is a shot that we saw in the first one. Now this could be me just looking into it. Maybe he gets back into his Force Awakens outfit in the end, or maybe somewhere somewhere halfway through the movie. Not 100% sure, but I think it's really cool that this trailer really started to plant the seeds that Kylo Ren is really he's even more unstable than he was in the first one. We don't know what he's gonna do, and these shots from here on in are some really cool space battles with a really cool starfighter, the TIE Silencer, as it's called, Kylo Ren's special TIE ship. And don't know if this is editing, but he seems to be debating whether or not he's going to shoot his mom down, which just indicates further that Kylo Ren is going to have a really interesting journey in this movie, and he's going to be conflicted again, and hopefully explore a little bit more into his character than we had in the last movie. We did have that amazing scene where Han dies, but I feel like we just scratched the surface with the duality of a good versus evil within him there. So hopefully we can get a little bit more of that, and again, I'm going to touch on that a little bit more as we get to the end of the trailer with that kind of bait and switch at the end, what I believe is a bait and switch at the end of the trailer. But yeah, just a quick note about that ship. I said it was cool before. I think it's so cool. It's one of my favorite ships that they've created for this sequel trilogy. I'm so happy to hear that it's going to be in Battlefront 2 because I'm going to play this. Well, if I can get enough points to unlock it, I'm going to play the shit out of that ship because it looks awesome. It might not be good, but I don't care. It looks cool. Then there's just some more. So we get another shot of, that every movie we get a shot of the Millennium Falcon getting chased by some TIE fighters, and I don't know. I couldn't even begin to speculate where this is. But hopefully it'll be cool, like that scene on Jakku, because I thought that scene was really fun and really helped us get back into it. And maybe we'll see some cool flying from Chewie, who's up in this next shot, who I saw a lot of people saying he looks kind of weird, and I kind of agree. The eyes are just, something's off about him, and yes, he does look a little bit younger. And it doesn't really help that he's accompanied by a Porg. Which I'm trying my best to hate. I don't hate them yet, but I'm working on it because I feel like I shouldn't like them. Maybe I should just stop being a hard ass and just kind of admit that I kind of like them, but they are very shoehorned in at this point and really marketed just towards kids. But then again, George Lucas said that this that Star Wars it's for kids. It's a kids movie, or they are movies for kids. So why not have little cute puffin ugly things in there screaming in the middle of a trailer? But then we finally get some shots of our secondary characters who really are kind of main characters. We get Poe in a space battle and trying to get away, talking about how this is our chance to destroy the First Order, the generic trailer line. But I really hope we can get some more of Poe in this movie, because Oscar Isaac is one of the greatest actors working today. He's one of my favorite actors working today, and I really want to see more of what he can do. And then we, skipping ahead, we get a really cool shot of finally Phasma versus Finn, something that we've all been waiting for since kind of seeing their relationship in the first one, or what was hinted of a relationship, Finn being the best soldier and Phasma being the very hard-ass CEO. I really want to see this fight, just because I think it would be an emotional climax for Finn. All that pent-up emotions, whether that be from almost dying at the hands of the First Order, or really not having a chance to grow up or knowing anything other than First Order, and then attacking Phasma. I think that'll be a really cool fight, and it'll be also really cool to see Phasma actually do something. So hopefully that fight is awesome. Also, I really want to know what weapon Phasma is using, because the weapon that Finn is using is the riot baton that Traitor used against a lightsaber, and that deflected a lightsaber. So she's using something that can deflect something that deflects a lightsaber. That's got to be a pretty powerful weapon, I think. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be pretty cool. Let me get some cool shots of BB-8 being electrocuted. I think it was the Schmoes who said that you're not really an astromech droid until you've been electrocuted. So I guess BB-8 can finally be welcomed to the family. And then now we get something really cool, and this shot of Luke saying this isn't gonna go the way the way you think. Initially, I thought it was part of the scene where Rey is underwater and she's popping up. But I got to thinking, this really looks like that scene from the second trailer, I think, that we got for First Awakens, where we see the Knights of Ren, and also I want to see more of the Knights of Ren, but where we see the Knights of Ren and they're attacking in the rain, and this kind of looks like it. So this actually could be a flashback rather than something in the present. Maybe this is after the new temple gets burned down, or wherever Luke is training the whole new batch of Jedi when Kylo Ren betrays them. This could be right after in the rain with the Knights of Ren, so who knows. We get these cool ice cat wolves. Christian Harloff of Shmo said it was a Loth cat, but I don't think that is. It doesn't look anything like one. And granted, the switch between transition between cartoon and live action would mean that it would look a little bit different, but I don't see it being a Loth cat from Lothal from Star Wars Rebels. But we get this shot of Leia looking out towards the horizon, and this is really reminiscent again of Hoth, and it looks like it might be it might be that planet that where the new AT-ATs are attacking. So we could get a similar opening to Empire Strikes Back. Hopefully they try to change it up a little again. I really don't want another repeat. Then we get some quick shots of that battle with the AT-ATs, and at a closer glance now, if you look at the cliffs, they are similar to the ones that we see with that direwolf thingy. So maybe it actually is at the same place, and maybe that is Leia commanding the resistance troops, and maybe doing a little bit more than we saw in The Force Awakens. But finally we get to some of the money shots with Snoke. Finally a real close-up look at Snoke, not just a hologram, but he looks really creepy, and he looks kind of human, actually. Honestly, I mean, he looks messed up, but he looks human. He looks like he's using the Force on Rey, and that shot is super cool. It looks like they're doing that thing that Kylo did to her, kind of freezing her. But the fact that we're gonna see Rey and Snoke meet up is really cool. It could be like one of those Force dreams. You never know. But I really hope that they do actually meet up, and we can see what might happen and what they're hinting at in this next shot with Rey asking someone for help. Now, this may be a little bit spoiler, so if you don't want to hear this, plug your ears or just skip 30 seconds. But there were some photos of the set of sorry, not even of the set, in the first trailer of the Millennium Falcon, and there's a fire underneath, and Rey talking to Luke. It was a really quick shot in the trailer, I believe. So this is probably from that scene. It's not actually her talking to Kylo Ren, because although they tried to make it look like it was the same scene, they definitely aren't. The backgrounds aren't matching up. But it is really interesting that they're trying to trick us in that way, because they're planting those seeds of doubt in our minds. So not just the general audiences are thinking that Rey could go to the dark side, but even the biggest fanatics, because we know the biggest fanatics know that this is an edited scene at the end where Rey asks for help and Kylo puts his hand out. But the fact of the matter is, those scenes are in the movie, so we don't know what the context of the scenes are and what exactly is going to happen with those scenes. So I think it'll be super cool to see that play out eventually. But yeah, that's about as quick as a recap as I can do. I haven't watched this trailer as many times as I did initially for the Force Awakens trailer, just because I'm really trying to do my best to go in as blind as possible. As you guys can tell, I'm kind of failing a lot at that, but I'm trying to stay a little bit more stronger than I hope I can be. But yeah, I was gonna take some time to talk about to get a little bit more serious than I ever am. I'm hardly making jokes. To get serious and talk about what's been going on with Hollywood, with the Weinstein and Signor and all the sexual harassment allegations. But I'm actually kind of running out of time. That Star Wars thing took a lot more, and I know this is a very, very important issue and very, very touchy issue. So I am running out of time, but I do just want to say that it is important to talk about these issues, to those who are victims, to keep talking, to those who aren't victims, keep talking, because talking is the best way to keep this issue relevant and to keep the people who are committing these heinous crimes, these acts of terrible evil, to keep them accountable and really get them in the spotlight and reveal them for who they truly are. I'm kind of on the spot right now, so it's hard for me to articulate exactly what I want to say, especially in a subject that is so touchy and so sensitive. So I believe I sum it up as best as I can in an article that I wrote on Wednesday. So I'll link that in the description. So that says a lot more than I could say right now on the spot, because you guys know I don't prep for the show. But yeah, I thought it was at least just important enough to talk about, mention as quick as possible on this episode, that the people who came out, the women who came out, and the men like Terry Crews are incredibly brave, and to not stop, because it's important to talk about it, and it is relevant. And if you don't want to talk about it, too bad, because we are going to keep talking about it, because this stuff shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen. But yeah, I'm going to take a really quick break. Probably cut the free chat a little bit short, just because I suck at giving video game reviews and I'm running out of time. And also I don't have that much to say about Star Wars Battlefront 2, but we'll be right back, and yeah, bye. Man, I can never understand people who give John Williams shit for the Force Awakens soundtrack, because he introduced some really cool themes, like you heard part of the Rey theme there, and then the Kylo Ren theme there. I loved what he did with the Force Awakens soundtrack. I mean, and again, I love most of his newer stuff. Of course I love the original stuff, but I think I actually prefer the prequel trilogy music to the original trilogy music. Anyways, kind of off topic here, but yeah. So this is gonna be my free chat segment where I review the Battlefront beta. Now, just to preface this, I feel like I do this a lot. I haven't played many first-person shooters. I'm not exactly good at them ever. So I did play this primarily in a third-person point of view, but Star Wars Battlefront 2 really is the newer versions. It is a modern FPS, and although I played the original version, the original one, Battlefront 2 in 2005, I played that a lot as a kid, and I love that game. It really doesn't match up to a lot of the FPSs today, whereas the new Battlefront 2 is really it really matches up with the FPSs. It's almost like a Battlefield with a Star Wars skin on, which is fine, because the limited amount of time I did play the new Battlefield games, I did enjoy them. I did enjoy my time playing it, and I haven't played a lot, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, so the beta came out last week, and I wasn't actually planning on playing it, but I got kind of bored, and then I was like, screw it, I'm gonna spend my money, get a PSN PlayStation Plus, I believe, account to play online and play this multiplayer and try it out, and it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a huge step up from the first Battlefront, which most people consider to be a disappointment. Like, most big gamers consider to be a disappointment, and I'm not even a big gamer, and I thought it was kind of disappointing, because we had on my PS4, I had a actual version of the original Battlefront, and I thought it was boring. There wasn't enough in it. It was shocking how little there was in the game. There was like 4 maps maybe, and like 2 game modes. And I know they added in a lot of DLC, but that costs a lot. It wasn't free DLC like this Battlefront 2 is going to be. But yeah, that game just felt so bare bones and so rushed, just to come out and coincide with the release of Force Awakens. So I'm really glad that EA seems to have stepped it up a little bit with this game, because I found it a lot more fun than the first one. And this is coming from someone who doesn't play many video games. I'm sure if you have someone, like if you ask the Geeks and Gamers, the gamer podcast, I promise you, I've listened to it, but the name is really slipping me right now. I'm sure if you ask them, they could elaborate a little bit more on the downfalls, or maybe defend the original Battlefront game. But this one was a lot of fun. I found myself playing hours of it, and the game mode I played most obviously was the Galactic Conquest one, where since this was just the beta, you have just one map, but you're on Naboo, and you get to play as the clones and the droids, and it's kind of like an attack defense situation where if you're the droids, you're defending the transport. If you're the clones, you're attacking the transport and trying to defend the Naboo palace. And it's a really cool, almost siege scenario, where there's the more you play is the more you learn the advantages and disadvantages of being on both sides. But what I thought was really cool was the different classes in this and the point system. The point system rewards you not just for killing, and because I'm not very good at FPS games, I didn't get many kills, but you get points for doing the objectives as well, like attacking the transport or helping out a teammate, sort of thing. Helping to heal them if you're an officer, or giving them boosts because if you're an officer, or even injuring other people. Even if you die, you can still get points after that, and those points help build up so you can unlock some of the specialist classes, such as if you're the clone, you can unlock a Wookiee, or you can unlock a jet trooper, or if you get really lucky, you get to you can unlock a hero. And for the betas, I think they just threw them in there just for the beta. You can unlock Rey, even though it's not really canon for the time period, because she would not be born then. But for the heroes, you can unlock Rey and Han Solo, and then for the for the dark side, you can unlock Boba Fett and Darth Maul. Unfortunately, I'm not good enough, so I never got to actually use on one of the lightsaber characters, but I did get to use Han Solo for a bit. I died pretty quick after that, but I did get to use them, so that was cool. But yeah, this Galactic Conquest it's kind of like an upgraded version of the AT-AT Assault. I think that's what it was called in the original one, which I found kind of boring. But this is really similar, and they somehow managed to make it a lot more fun. Maybe it's because of the point system. Maybe it's just because I freaking love clones. And then they have a second mode where it was a Starfighter Assault, where it's very similar, but this time the beta was for the Empire. The original trilogy time period, where you get to fly around in a X-Wing or a TIE Interceptor, and you have to attack or defend an Imperial fleet. And this is something that was not included at all in the last Battlefront, which really disappointed people, because people love the starfighter aspect of Battlefront, of the original one, especially about the original Battlefront 2, and that was one of my favorite parts of Battlefront 2, where you're attacking or defending the other ships. And this is so much fun, and I wish more people were playing it, because I was playing with a lot of AIs, unfortunately, with this one. Not to my own horn, I killed a lot of AIs, but that's probably because their AIs are not very good. But Starfighter Assault was so much fun. I really hope it gets more popular when it's out of beta, and then when the full game comes out. And then finally, there's the third mode, which I didn't play much of at all. It's called Strike, and it has... To be honest, I only watched my roommate play one game. I didn't even play it because it just didn't interest me, because this was in the sequel trilogy area, and it's at Maz Kanata's castle. But the map seemed really small, and to be honest, I just wasn't all that interested in playing that mode, so I couldn't tell you much about it. But the other ones really interested me a lot more. So this game, I would highly recommend it once it comes out. Actually, I would highly recommend waiting to hear the reviews first, just because apparently the original Battlefront beta was really fun too, and I've elaborated enough about how disappointing that game was. But there are downfalls in this game, and mainly it's the loot crates that they have, the crate system. Now my roommate tells me that this is pretty much an integral part to a lot of games, a lot of AAA games nowadays, where they have kind of this crate system where you can unlock them through playing the game, but you can also buy them with real money, and that's how they get a lot of their money. But a lot of times it's just for cosmetic stuff, like getting skins. But in Battlefront 2, and at least in this beta, And EA has addressed the fact that they will be changing it a little bit, but a lot of people remain skeptical. People who are more in the know than me about video games are a little bit skeptical of what EA is actually going to do with this crate system. But for the beta, at least, you could get gear, and this is random. It's completely RNG. It's completely random what you get in these crates, and you can buy them with real money, just to increase your odds, I guess. But in these crates, you can get upgrades to your actual characters to make you better, essentially making it a pay-to-win thing, and that's kind of irks me. I'm not 100% sure how happy I am about that, just because I don't think it's very fair that people, I guess life isn't fair, but I don't think it's really fair that they can just pay to win, and the game isn't just based on your skill, because we're already paying a bunch of money for not only the console but the game, and online now. So if that isn't fixed by the full launch, and I hear reviews that it's just pay to win, I probably won't buy the game, just because I don't play many video games, and I don't have the time or the money to invest myself in something where I'm not going to be able to have a fair chance at it, because people are just using their parents' credit cards to pay to be better than everybody else. But if they can fix that and they can address that, and I can hear from people who are a lot smarter than me on the concept of pay-to-win games, then you bet your ass I'm going to get that game, because overall I did find the beta really fun. So yeah, that's my review for the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta, and thus concludes my Star Wars themed episode. You can sure as hell expect a lot more of these in the future, because Star Wars is my life. Yeah, if you guys made it to the end of this episode, thank you for listening. Next week, if everything goes right, there should be a very special 20th episode for y'all. But thank you for listening to this one all the way through. If you guys can find me on Twitter at mchin96, or at the podcast Twitter, CQ_chats. Make sure to check out all the other shows on the Geek Pulse Radio Network, and check out the website Shifter on Films for that piece on Weinstein and sexual harassment in Hollywood, because as I said before, it is important to talk about it, and you can't stop talking about it, because it has to stay relevant and things have to change. But let's not end on a really sad note. Let's end on Star Wars. Yeah. Get your tickets. They're already out there, counting down the days for The Last Jedi to come out, and counting down the days for this semester to end too. But yeah, I will chat with you guys next week.